Okay, we're going to start chapter 9.
Chapter 9, we are going to use parts of last chapter where we graphed, parts of an equation. How these are going to look, they're going to give you two equations. And we want to figure out what solution is. So today the method we're going to use is we're going to graph two lines. We're going to graph the first one, graph the second one. The point that they cross is our solution, and that's generally going to be a point, or like maybe about 4 or 5, something like that. Usually we will get 1 point. Sometimes they might be parallel. That happens, remember, when our slopes are equal. If they are parallel, do they ever touch, do they ever cross? So this is the kind where it's no solution. So you can have it where we have 1 point, we could have 0 points, or we could have it where we graph one line, and then we graph the second line, and it's exactly on top. So we have a point here, point here, point here, endless number of points. So what this one's called, if they are the same line, the answer is all solutions. So no matter what you would choose, they would still work. So what we're going to look at is how to go ahead and take those two equations and graph them. One thing I would suggest is using graph paper on your assignment today. It'll make it much more accurate. Of the 3 methods I'm going to teach you, graphing is the easiest, but it's not always the most accurate. Let's say we get decimals for answers or fractions, and you have, let's say, our point that if they cross is in here. It's not the easiest to see on a graph to make that, well, maybe that's 1.6, maybe that's 1.7, maybe it's 1. So that's why we're going to show you other methods as well, because graphing does not always help us the most. Okay, in order to graph, we want to go back to slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. I'm going to change the blue one. That's all right. All right. So 2 equations. We want to solve both of them for y. So we want to move x across by doing the opposite. So we get negative y equals negative 2x plus 8. But we don't want negative y, we want positive y. So we want to divide by negative 1. Remember, divide every single part by whatever was in front there. So that was, if you want to put in that 1 to help you see that it's negative 1, negative y by negative is positive. Negative y by negative is positive, so we get 2, or 2 over 1x. I did it that way, so we've got rise over run minus 8. Okay, let's do this one as well. This one's nice and much easier. So we want to move x across, subtract x, y equals negative x plus 1. We should then write it as negative 1 over 1. So we have a rise over run. Now you're going to put both of them on the same graph. So this one, our y-intercept is negative 8. So at negative 8, we have dots. So we go up 2 over 1. You can do that a few times if you want. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Okay. So graph paper is much more accurate to make a straight line. So now this one, we have y-intercept of 1. Slope is down, negative 1, 1. So negative 1, 1. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So the point that they intersect is right there. So we count over 3, down 2, so it's 3, negative 2. So we're looking for that point where both lines, where they cross each other, not where they're crossing the axis. You don't have to put the extra dots, but sometimes it makes it easier to figure out exactly where they're crossing. Everybody see how I was able to put in the extra dots? Just keep using the slope. Okay. So let's do another basically we're taking the graphing from next week and or from last week and doing it twice. All right. This one, we have x minus 2y equals -6. X minus 2y equals 2. So we need to move our slope, not our slope, our x, excuse me. Subtract x from both sides. -2y equals -x plus 6. Now we just want y. We're going to divide by -2 to both parts. That cancels. Y equals negative divided by negative is positive. What number is next to x? 1. So we could say it's 1/2 x minus 3. Same thing here. Subtract off x. Divide by -2 all under all three parts. So again, we get 1/2 x. Before we even graph it, what can you tell me about the two slopes? They're the same, so they should be parallel, correct? Since these are different. But you have to, okay, if these are the same, you then have to check, are these the same or are these different? We're going to graph it anyway, but if these were the same, would our lines be parallel or would they'd be one on top of each other? So let's graph this one. Up 1 over 2. -1, we've got up 1 over 2. So these lines, also when you do graph it, don't just graph between your points, extend them out today. And the reason being, it's like on that last one, so you can see if they do cross. This one, they never cross. But they never cross, so what is our answer?
No solution.
No solution. And just write it like that. So the biggest key, start here if they did not give you that to start with. Solve for y. Because once it's solved for y, you've got your two main parts. You've got your y-intercept, which is your starting point, and you've got your slope. Okay? Graph both of them on the same graph. Again, it's either going to be one answer, 0 answers, or all solutions. Okay, so what I want to do on 415, again, we do not have graph paper as feature. Do 1 to 15 odd. Yeah. 1 to 15 odd. And let's go from there.